What is going on, you guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. And now, today, it is finally time to rank all 6 Terminator movies from worst to best. Now, I hope you guys have had fun watching me review all these movies and joining me on this journey. And, let me know down below what other reviews you'd like me to do in the future, as well as what other review series you'd like me to do. Maybe there's a movie coming up in a franchise that you would like me to review, or a movie that just came out in the theater you'd like me to review. And so, guys, just know that this is just my opinion for the Terminator review series. My opinion may not match all of yours, but it's certainly going to not be too much of a surprise to some people, because some people might have the same bottom film in the franchise. Some people might have the same top 2, but in my case, my reviews are just mine, and this is just my ranking. This is just how I do it, and this is how I rank. I rank films based off of how much I enjoy them, not based off of how well they're made, because there might be a really well-made film near the top of one list that might just be the bottom because I might find it the most boring. But that's not the case with Terminator. I'm just saying that just so you know what other review series I'll do in the future. This will be what I'll be doing. That's just how I'll do my rankings in the future. So, guys, let's get started with number 6, the worst Terminator film. In fact, this is the only Terminator film in the franchise that I actually hate, that I despise, because of everything they did. There's not one thing about this movie that I like. No surprise to anybody. Number 6 is Terminator Genesis. This movie is a train wreck from start to finish. And supposedly during this movie, James Cameron actually enjoyed the film, he said, but then later admitted that he did not like the movie because he only admitted that he liked it because of his friendship with Arnold Schwarzenegger since the first Terminator film. So I can kind of see why James Cameron would have defended it at first, but now to hear that the guy who made 2 of the best films in the franchise does not like this film, it kind of makes me feel a little bit better about it. So now I will say, like, the acting was bad, the special effects weren't that great, and some of the dialogue was bad, and even the casting was bad. And the fact that, come on, turning John Connor into a Terminator at the end of this movie, one of the biggest fuck yous of the entire franchise. So this movie is a big middle finger to fans. So if you like Terminator and you see this, just so you know, the people who made this movie did not care about people who are fans of the franchise. They just wanted to do their own thing because they probably didn't like the first 2 films for whatever reason, but all I can say. So yeah, rant aside, if you guys want to see my rant of this movie, to go see my rant review of this movie that I posted a few days ago. But guys, number 6, Terminator Genesis. Number 5 is going to be one that I've seen a few people put a little bit higher on their list, but I actually think this movie, it's definitely miles better than Terminator Genesis, but it's still not the best movie in the franchise for me, because this is a movie that, while I can watch it sometimes, I find myself skipping a lot of it. Number 5 is Terminator Salvation. This is the one that this was actually a Terminator film that I saw after watching the first original 3 films, and I liked the Judgment Day apocalypse setting for this movie, and I also love the different kinds of Terminators that they brought forward with this movie, because that's one of the praises I can give this movie. And also, some of the action sequences in this movie do work very well, but for the rest of the movie, it's honestly not that great of a film. It feels kind of bland, and it feels like they were too afraid to express new ideas here, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of this movie. But I will say, it's miles better than Genesis, so give me this movie over Genesis any day of the week, because yeah, Genesis can go fuck itself. But guys, yeah, number 5, Terminator Salvation. Number 4 is going to be one that I've seen a few people put at the bottom of their list, and I honestly don't see why. Number 4 for me, 4, is going to be Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. Now, this is one that I actually loved as a kid. I would watch this a lot of times. I never watched it as much as the first 2, but I still enjoyed it quite often. I like the fast pace of it, and I like Arnold Schwarzenegger being back. And Nick Stahl's performance as John Connor, it's okay, but the fact that he's a wimp and tells people, you didn't have to do that, or you don't want to do this, it's honestly a headache for me to get through that. And I don't see that Nick Stahl brought anything new to the character. He just brought a side of him that we didn't want to see. He did not capture the badassery or tough kid aspect that Edward Furlong brought to the second movie. So, for me, it just wasn't that great of a performance. But all in all, this is an okay Terminator film. I can definitely enjoy it for what it is, but it's definitely not one that I would be itching to go back to all the time. Also, I do like the TX Terminator that they brought forward, because this one is basically a mixture of the previous 2 films, Terminators, They just like, okay, let's take liquid metal and a robot, put them together, and make another Terminator. I'm like, okay, that's a good route to go. So that's a good aspect on its own. So yeah, number 4, Terminator 3. Number 3 might piss some of you off because I know a lot of people hate this movie, but I like it. Number 3 is Terminator Dark Fate. This one. Yep, I like this movie. I think that this movie was this movie might be misunderstood by some people, but here's the thing. I can see why some people hate it. The fact that they killed off John Connor at the very beginning of the movie can piss some people off, but I will say this movie, bringing back Linda Hamilton, was the biggest savior. Like, if they had killed off John Connor and not bring back Sarah Connor, this movie probably would be a little bit lower. Like, this would be below Terminator 3 in my opinion. But all in all, because they brought back Linda Hamilton, she is so badass here. In fact, she's more badass here than she was in Terminator 2 to some degree. So I really like that aspect to her they brought here. The Rev 9 Terminator is really cool. I like that new Terminator they brought forward, and the fact that he looks like an everyday man, just like how Robert Patrick was in the second film, where he looks like a regular police officer. You never suspect anything of him. So this movie, it does a couple things wrong that I see why people don't like, but if you hate the movie, if you despise it, I honestly don't get it. But if you dislike the movie for what some stuff that it did, I honestly can be okay with that, because also Mackenzie Davis as the augmented Terminator woman who comes back to help this girl who is now being targeted again because she's supposedly going to be the leader of another Terminator Rising. And the fact that they took out Skynet and replaced it with something else called Legion, I thought was kind of a repeat of what we've already seen, because we already know, okay, Skynet took over. It's like, okay, well, if Skynet's dead, who's next? It's like, okay, Legion's next. Like, all right, fine. But I do like how they did not try to do the same thing over again, even though they technically did. Like, it's a Terminator gets sent back in time, and then, but this time they do send a Terminator back to protect someone, but it's more human slash cyborg. Like, if you think about it, that's kind of what Terminator 3 did. Took the previous 2 Terminators and combined them and made them into the third Terminator from the third movie. And this one, they took the 2 humans. They took a human, Michael Bain, technically, from the first movie, and the T-101 from the second movie, and they combined a human and a cyborg and kind of made into this movie. So they kind of did that a little bit. Not a lot of people talk about that sort of thing, but I think it's something that the movie should be praised for, because they're trying their best to come up with new ideas. Now, if they do decide to make another movie after this one, then I'm hoping that they do something new with it. Like, I hope they change the formula up a little bit, which I will say Salvation is something that did that, where they changed the formula completely. It's not about a Terminator getting sent back to kill someone and they end up failing at the end. No, they need to start changing up their formula a little bit. So if they ever do make another Terminator, which we highly doubt it because this one was such a failure, that it's kind of disappointing, the fact that we're going to end on this note. But all I can say is that Terminator Dark Fate, if this is the last film we ever get for Terminator, I won't be completely disappointed by it, because I like it. So, all in all, number 3, Terminator Dark Fate. Okay, guys, top 2. Now, you're going to have some people who think that Terminator is best. Some people think Terminator 2 is best. I love both of these movies. These movies are practically flawless in my opinion. I cannot think of a single thing I don't like about either of these movies, but there is one that does hold my interest and gets me excited more than the other. But let me explain when I tell you guys my number 2. Number 2 for me is going to be Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I know a lot of people put this in number 1, but here's the thing. The fact that this is in my top 2, you should be happy about that. And don't judge me for it. It's just my opinion. The reason why this movie is number 2 is because there's a scene in this movie where they go like out into the desert. They come across these like people who are living like in trailers. And I will say that part of the movie is where it kind of slows down for me. It's not unwatchable. I can still get through it, no problem. But that's just the only thing I can say negative about this movie. I will say, Arnold Schwarzenegger being back, big plus. Robert Patrick as the T-1000, amazing, especially for the special effects coming out in 1991. That was a very huge thing to come out back then. So that was a groundbreaking achievement in special effects and CGI. And the fact that Edward Furlong is here to play as John Connor, which I think that I don't know if he did this first or American History X first, so he was kind of in that prime where he was pumping out teenage roles for a little bit, and it was kind of a huge decade for him. I think if that one came out in the 90s as well, but still, very good performance by him. And also the action is perfect, and some people will argue this is one of the best action movies ever made. I can't agree more with that. Terminator 2 is one of the best action movies ever made, one of the best sci-fi movies ever made, and one of my all-time favorite movies. I love this film. So yeah, but the only thing that holds it back just a tad, by a razor-thin margin for me, is that little desert sequence, which after that, I can get past it. And I understand that some people find importance in it. For me, it's just a little bit slow. But other than that, this is technically a perfect film, in my opinion. So yeah. Number 2, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. No, that leaves number 1, and number 1 is going to be the original Terminator. This movie, there's no issue I have with it. No part of it is slow, no part of it's boring, no part of it is dragging at all for me. Terminator is the greatest film in the franchise, in my opinion. This is where they got everything perfect, and I get that some people might be like, okay, well, there's no John Connor, and I'm like, fine. But if that's not your thing, then fine. But the fact that that James Cameron had this idea to make a film, because he was practically homeless when he made this movie, and this movie practically skyrocketed him into fame. He made Piranha 2 before this, but that wasn't even enough to get him, like, he wasn't really able to pay rent with that first movie. So this movie pretty much launched his career after that. So I will say this movie solidified Arnold Schwarzenegger as an action star, and it solidified James Cameron in the realm of amazing filmmakers. Like later on, he would direct Aliens, The Abyss, which I love. He would direct Terminator 2 right after that, True Lies, Titanic, which was amazing, one of the best romances I've ever seen, and Avatar, which I really like. And so James Cameron has solidified himself, and you can thank this movie for starting his career. So guys, my number 1 film in the Terminator franchise is The Terminator, and it's also in my top 10 for best movies of all time. So guys, thank you very much for watching my Terminator review series. Thank you very much for watching me rank all 6 of these movies. And guys, let me know down below what your ranking is, and don't be a jerk and say that my ranking is wrong, because if there's my ranking, there's your ranking. So there's no such thing as the right ranking. So everybody's rankings are different. And guys, let me know what you want me to review in the future, and let me know if there's a movie series that you want me to check out or review, because maybe there's another film coming out later this year that you want me to review with it, and I'll do a ranking for those. So guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.